What's up? Welcome to Screen Fiend. It's your boy Carcino here. If you want to donate to the page, hit up the Cash App. The name is Carcino or Carcino for Life. You will find me on, Cash App. Well, anyway, Dark Phoenix has arrived here at Screen Fiend. It is coming out finally. No word about New Mutants, but this movie is 2.5 years in the shelf. The actors have not participated in this film for 2.5 years. It was supposed to come out in November of 2018. And yet again, nothing. It's gonna come out in in April. Then they pushed it to May of 2018. Then it was pushed to November. Then it was pushed all the way to 2019, where it seems like it's gonna come out. Now, everybody remembers this film for being made. And I mean, not this film, but the new rebirth of the X-Men after the dismal The Last Stand. The Last Stand was actually financially successful, but comic book fans of the X-Men hated this movie. I mean, hated it. And this movie, they wanted people to fall back in love with the X-Men so much. After X-Men Apocalypse, they wanted to try to rush back into production and get this right. That they were about to preview 40 minutes of the movie during the New Mutants when it came out. So there's actually a 40-minute preview of this movie. Yeah, a 40-minute preview. And what people don't know is Simon Kingsburg was basically dumped this movie, but he wanted to redo what he did in The Last Stand because studio pressure squeezed the Dark Phoenix story into this subplot that had nothing to do with the Dark Phoenix. And like I told you, it was a hit, but X-Men fans, they felt like they were overdue and deserved a correction. And Kingsburg felt that in his gut that he needed to tell the story the right way. And Bryan Singer stepped aside and said, I'm done with X-Men. I'm not touching it no more. So it was clear to him he was emotionally attached and everything. So he's like, it'd have just killed me to hand this over to somebody else to direct. You know? And this one, this is set because I don't know if I should tell you guys, but I've seen the 40-minute clip. And in this film, it's 1992, okay? 10 years after X-Men Apocalypse. Dark Phoenix opens up where all of these characters in new roles, they are national heroes. And Charles Xavier, he's on the cover of Time magazine. He's got an ego now. And this is the arc I like that I saw in this film. He's got a bit of an ego now, which is putting the X-Men at risk. His pride is starting to get the better of him. Cause so it shows even though Charles Xavier is so smart, he's also flawed. And that's what made the other X-Men work with the newer ones. He's not a perfect man. And anyway, he started pushing the X-Men to do more extreme type of missions. So they're dispatched into a space for a rescue mission, and a solar flare hits, surge of energy just ignites, and it new with a new force of energy, that just takes over Jean and of course the Phoenix. So we know exactly what's happening here. Now, one of the movie surprises that happened in this film, and I want people to understand something, is that they gave it away in the trailers. Don't blame me. Don't blame nobody else. Is Mystique's death. Mystique's death by the hands of the Phoenix. It almost mimics that of Scott in the first one. Now, Jennifer Lawrence's contract had her that she has to come back. She did not want to come back and film another X-Men movie. She was done. And this was basically, for her, a no-show job. She didn't like going through the makeup anymore. She had become a super diva in some forth. And people, she just didn't want to be there. And people really didn't want her in it anymore. But they know they have to get rid of her. Gotta have Mystique back. Rather than start another character, her contract indicated she had a certain time limit to be there. So they only could use her for a couple of days of work. And that's what they had with her. A couple of days. And they used it for what it was worth to film the scene of her going out. And this is supposed to be the tension point of the Phoenix Saga. Now, this movie spent a lot more than the X-Men Apocalypse. There's some of the biggest set date pieces to date is in this film. Now, there's a twist halfway through the movie that will change the course of the franchise. And we already know what that is, right? A lot of pathos involved, and it's just one of those things that there's a lot of sacrifice and suffering, and it becomes the fight for Jean's soul. Will people give up on her? Will she be able to survive? It's a butterfly effect thing happening, and what happens? The person you love falls into darkness. We've seen this time and time again, but very interesting, right? The Dark Phoenix is back. But why hasn't it been released? As it being the last film of the Marvel Sony project, Disney will now own all rights. So we might not even get to see the last meetings, or maybe it'll wind up on a Netflix thing, or we have no idea what's happening with the new mutants. Now, one of the main issues the comic book users had with the first Dark Phoenix was the fact that the Dark Phoenix had Scott, who was very important to the X-Men in the comics, take a backseat to Wolverine. They had Wolverine as if he was dating Jean Grey when they never dated. You know, he liked her, but she was with Scott Lang. She was with Cyclops. So I don't understand. In the comics, at the end, she's hugging Scott. There's an emotional connection there. If she wanted to be with Wolverine, she would have been with Wolverine. But Scott's her guy. So this is like the movie in which, let me see, in the storyline for this one, this is more the growth of Scott as far as him taking control and being the leader of the X-Men as he was in the comic. So already they're on the right track. Well, you probably want to know what's going on with Mystique. Oh my God, I'm losing my mind today with Eric Leslie. Okay, now Eric, the rogue mutant Magneto. Okay, there it is. My brain's working now. You know, I've ever since at the end of the Apocalypse movie, and he went on an island, and comic book fans will recognize where he goes. He set up this place for mutants that don't have a home to go to. They have to work in a community setting. You know, it's a safe place for them, but they all accept it. While Jean Grey and the hero and villain and Dark Phoenix, she introduces another shapeshifter into this new world, which is played by Jessica Chastain, and you'll figure out what character she is later. Anyway, she wants to manipulate Jean Grey for her own purposes, and Kingsburg convinced Jennifer Lawrence to just do a couple days of work to finish out this role. And that was the biggest victory of the film, they think, having Jennifer Lawrence on this roster one more time. But this is definitely a women driven type of movie, but it is a lot better than The Last Stand. People think that this movie is going to be Fantastic Four 2015 bad. That movie was awful. I will be the first one to let you know how bad that movie was. Now, here's the thing. Jennifer Lawrence in the studio went back and forth about her being in makeup during Apocalypse. That's why you saw her mostly in the human form as regular Jennifer Lawrence more than she was. They had wrote this storyline about her running from her identity, which made no sense whatsoever. Why would she revert back to that? So they would rather keep her in regular non-Mystique form when she's at her full height of powers and concentration. When she's not, using some of her concentration to try to be human or another character or whoever she's turning herself into. So, anyway, after her contract expired, she definitely expressed her concerns about having to turn her body blue every day, and that's it's not that fun. So, and Jennifer Lawrence, she's like, she kind of effed herself. She's like, I was trying to direct, you know, she's like, she was trying to talk Simon into letting her direct some, and he's like, if I direct it, you have to do it. And I was like, of course, duh. He's like, then they offered me the movie, and I was like, man. And the fan base thought of, what was the other reason for the fans? And the strength of women in the movie. That's why she wanted to do it. But other than this will be another display of an X-Men movie that was going to be great and probably not do that well at the box office because it's missed its boat. Meaning that because of Shazam, because of Avengers, because of Aquaman, Spider Man's, Captain Marvel's, people are being drained. So about time this film comes out, who knows where we will be? As we're not even hit the summer yet. And that's what it's supposed to be the blockbuster film. Now April and May are taking those spots. Then at the end of the year, here comes Star Wars. So you're at the mercy. You see, you're at the mercy of these other big projects. So I think it'll be better than The Last Stand because it already sounds like they've corrected a lot of the issues that was going on with The Last Stand. So anyway, I'm out. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Peace.